Hi, welcome to the Real Talk podcast where real people talk about the real. And today on episode 8, I want to go over the book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And I told you guys in episode 7 I will go over this book, so I'm a man of my word. So we out here and it's early morning, it's 38 degrees and we're going to get it done. So I want to go over with y'all this book is a little harder to get into. It took up until page 115 for me to get into this book because it's just a little bit harder of a read. They talk more about history, and there's nothing wrong with that. You could gain a lot of knowledge from history, but for me personally, I didn't get this book wanting to learn about those things that I already had learned about in school, so I kind of read through them, learned from it and took knowledge from that, and there's nothing wrong with that. This is still a great book. I think you should go still pick up this book and you could gain a lot from that. I still have bookmarkers in there, and I still was able to get a lot of knowledge out of this book, but it wasn't as good as the other books that I've also already gone over. So yeah, that's just my personal opinion on this book. It's a very hyped up book, and there's nothing wrong with it. It is worth the hype, but in my opinion, it's not till page 115 that I was able to get into this book. So yeah, I want to start because I like on this page, he says right here, success requires no explanation. Failure permits no alibis. Success requires no explanation is huge. You don't have to explain to people why you want to be successful. You don't need to make up some reason why you want to be successful. If you want to be successful, you will know God will make you that way. He will make you different than everybody else that just wants to be a failure. People that don't want to be successful, that wasn't meant for them. There's nothing wrong with that, but me, I'm a person that wants to be successful. So success requires no explanation. If you know you want to be successful, just work towards it and get it done. You don't need to make an excuse. You don't need to make an explanation, because when you make an explanation, that could lead to excuses. So yeah, I think that's big. But right here on chapter 7, this chapter is called Organized Planning, the crystallization of desire into action, the 6th step to riches, right? And I think this is a great starting point for me, because he literally just starts off by saying, you have learned that everything that is created or acquired begins in the form of desire. That desire is taken on the first lap of its journey from the abstract to the concrete into the workshop of imagination, where plans for its transition are created and organized. Let me repeat that. This ending part is huge. The imagination, where plans for its transition are created and organized. That's big, because he's letting you know that you have to have organized planning when you're thinking about things so you can create something great. And I think that's huge, I think that matters a lot when you guys are willing to want to become successful. When you guys truly want to become successful, you will need to know that you need to have planned organizing. You guys need to have an imagination that is great. And you guys need to be able to be willing to create and transition into those things. And I think that's huge. So yeah, he also says right here. So in this chapter, he kind of does like little segments, I guess you could say. He has like number 1, where he says, ally yourself with a group of as many people as you may need for the creation of carrying out your plan or plans for the accumulation of money, making use of the mastermind principle described in chapter 9, which that's something he goes over in chapter 9, which I'm pretty sure I did mark. So yeah, that's huge too. You have to, if you, like I said in previous episodes, that you need to surround yourself with people that are great and have a people that are great and are like-minded. And if you want to be successful, that is huge. But you can also become successful on your own if you just are willing to start to have organized planning. I think that's huge. So yeah, this chapter is very important. I'm not going to go over the steps too much with y'all, because those are something I more want to break down when I have a group of people around me that I could break those down with. So yeah, I'll come back to that when the time is right. And I want to make just separate episodes just on those steps that he talks about, and just on those things about allying yourself with a group of as many people as you need for the creation of carrying out your plan. So yeah, so we're going to kind of go to the next page. So on page 117, I think the things that I marked on here are huge, so I'm going to go over those things with y'all, and y'all can let me know in the comments if y'all agree or disagree with these things, and if y'all think these things can help you work towards thinking and becoming rich. So yeah, I'm going to start off by saying this is the first place I marked. It says, if the first plan you adopt does not work successfully, replace it with a new plan. If this new plan fails to work, replace it in turn with still another, and so on until you find a plan which does work. I think this is huge. He says, and so on until you find a plan that does work. If your first plan doesn't work, keep going. If your second plan doesn't work, keep going. If the third plan doesn't work, keep going, and so on. And in turn, you will gain success because you will keep trying and you will never give up. And that never giving up mindset is huge. That's what they talk about in this book. That's why this is still a great book to read. So yeah, he also says, right here is the point at which the majority of people meet failure because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail. This is huge, y'all. I'm going to repeat that. Right here is the point at which the majority of people meet failure because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail. Meaning, people are lazy. People do not have the persistence it takes to make new plans when their last plan doesn't work. People aren't willing to do that. People get let down when an old plan doesn't work. People aren't willing to put in that work to make a new plan and create a new plan that will be successful. And if that doesn't work, they're not willing to do it over and over and over again until it does work. People aren't persistent nowadays. That's why I said in the last episode it's not hard to be average, because people are also not persistent enough to become successful, because people are not persistent enough to have a great plan. People are not persistent enough to become wonderful based off of their thinking, and people don't have organized planning when they make these plans. That's why they fail. And people don't have the persistence to keep going after those plans fail, because they have no way of doing that, because they're just lazy, or they're not willing to, or they're let down because the plan doesn't work. Not everything's going to work out in your life. Y'all should know that. That's just how life works. Let it be a learning experience and continue on. Keep pushing through and keep planning out new plans. So yeah, that stuff's huge, y'all. Like I said, this book is still great. Don't let me saying that this book is harder to get into, that this is not still a great book. There's still so much knowledge, as y'all could tell, that y'all could take away from this. So the second thing I marked was the most intelligent person living cannot succeed in accumulating money, nor in any other undertaking, without plans that are practical and workable. Just keep this fact in mind, and remember when your plans fail, that temporary defeat is not permanent failure. Let me repeat that to y'all. When your plans fail, temporary defeat is not permanent failure. It may only mean that your plans have not been sound. Build other plans. Start all over again. Thomas Edison failed 10,000 times, y'all, before he created the electric light bulb. That is, he met with temporary defeat 10,000 times before his efforts were crowned with success. It took Tom Edison 10,000 times before he was able to create the electric light bulb. Like, think about that. 10,000 times he could have gave up. 10,000 times he could have just said, I can't do enough. My plan's not sound enough. I'm going to just give up here and now. But guess what? We have light. And that's because he didn't give up on that 10,000 try. It took him the 10,001st try for him to get it right, and for him to create light, and for him to create the light bulb. And great things came from that. Great success came from that. So y'all just need to think about that. I think that's a great example. 10,000 times is crazy. People aren't willing to do that. People aren't willing to put in that work. But guess what? I'm one of those people that are willing to put that work in tenfold. I'm willing to do that 100,000 times. If it fails, I'm going to keep going, keep getting it done, because no one else is going to. On my wallpaper on my phone, it says, what's that say, y'all? Remember your goals and get it done. No one else will. Remember your goals and get it done. No one else will. Remember your goals, and if you fail at those goals, make new goals and get it done. No one else will. You will not have success in life if you do not. You will not have success in life if you're not willing to put in the work. If you're not willing to be persistent. If you're not willing to, when it fails, if you're not willing to make a new goal. If it fails, you're not willing to make a new plan. That you will not be successful. That's just how it works. That's why people fail at life, because people are not willing to be persistent enough. When they give up, when they feel like giving up, they give up. When they don't feel like giving up, guess what? They still give up because they're lazy. So yeah, temporary defeat should mean only one thing: the certain knowledge that there is something wrong with your plan. Millions of people go through life in misery and poverty because they lack a sound plan through which to accumulate a fortune. Like, that is huge. Y'all don't understand. He says temporary defeat should mean only one thing: the certain knowledge that there is something wrong with your plan. Millions of people go through life in misery and poverty because they lack a sound plan which to accumulate a fortune. They also aren't willing to be persistent enough when those plans fail to make a new plan. They're not willing to admit that they are the reason that it didn't work. They're not willing to admit that. They're willing to give up, though. They're willing to just sit and wallow in their room and wallow in their thoughts and be like, dang, I'm the reason that failed. No, don't be one of those people, or else you will never be able to what? Think and grow. Then we're going to flip to page 140 and we're going to continue on. Right here, I said success comes through the application of power, and power is obtained through the cooperative efforts of other people. A negative personality will not introduce cooperation. That is huge. People will not cooperate with you if you have a negative personality. You won't be able to persuade people to help you with your plan if you have a negative personality, you know? And this is great, y'all. I also marked these other things that he went over, but there's a lot of them. You know, he has like 23, I think. Let's see. We'll flip to the next page and check. 31 things that he goes over. You know, these are things I do want to go over eventually, but these are things I'll have to go over in a separate episode, because these things, they go on forever, and I have so many different reasonings behind why these things matter. So yeah, I hope y'all don't mind, but we're gonna also flip to another page. Let's see, where should we take this next? Oh, yep, we're gonna go right here. This is where I marked a lot of things. So right here he says, the majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are generally easily influenced by opinions of others. They permit the newspapers and the gossiping neighbors to do their thinking for them. Opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be wished upon anyone who will accept them. If you are influenced by opinions when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking, much less in that of transmuting your own desire into money. That is huge. People are too worried about opinions of others to become successful. People are too willing to sit here and let other people influence their decision. That's why they'll never be successful. Think about it. Businessmen become successful because they don't want to care about other people's opinion. They don't let other people's opinions tell them, oh, well, someone's opinion might be, oh, that plan might not work. Guess what? They didn't care. They still did it. They still got it done. And now look at them. They're already doing better than that person that had an opinion. So don't let opinions influence your decision. Like he says right here, if you are influenced by opinions of others, you will have no desire of your own. That's huge. If you are influenced by others, you will never be your own person. Like, that's for everybody in this world. No one wants to be their own person nowadays. Everyone's too scared of that. Everyone's not willing to put in the work. Everyone's not willing to do everything that everyone's willing to do what's comfortable, which is what everyone else is doing. Don't be like everybody else, or else you'll never be successful. Don't let other people's opinions stop you from becoming great. Don't let anyone in this world's opinion stop you. He goes over right here that friends and relatives can stop you. He says, close friends and relatives, while not meaning to do so, often handicap one through opinions and sometimes through ridicule, which is meant to be humorous. They might not even be meaning to make you think negative things, but they're just joking around. But guess what? You might overthink that, and then that ends up being a reason why you don't do something. That ends up being a reason why you change. That ends up being a reason why your plan fails. But guess what? If you don't care about that opinion, or you don't care about them ridiculing you, you're not going to stop. You're going to be persistent, and you're going to keep pushing through. And if you're willing to do that, you'll still be great. And I think that's huge. You have a brain of your own. Use it and reach your own decisions. If you need facts or information from other people to enable you to reach decisions, as you probably will in many instances, acquire these facts or secure information you need quietly without disclosing your purpose. People that speak about their purpose never get it done, because guess what? They're just someone that talks a lot. I'd be saying to everybody, the person that talks the most is usually the dumbest person in the room, because guess what? They're talking their way out of everything. That's why they're speaking so much. They're distracting you of what they might be doing. They're distracting you of what they're really saying, because they keep talking. They keep telling you, oh, this is one thing I have to say. This is another thing I have to say. So you never even have a room to even sit there and think about your own thought, because they're just speaking. They're doing that on purpose. You know, he says, don't let that stop you. You have a mind of your own. That's huge. You have a mind of your own. Why are you going to care what someone else is saying? Why are you going to care about someone else's opinion on your plan? Don't. If you want to be rich, if you want to think and grow rich, you will not be able to care about other people's opinions. You need to be able to have your own mind and make your own decisions. You need to be able to have your own facts, your own knowledge. Like these things are huge. These things help you guys. These things will help you guys if you're willing to put in the work, and if you're willing to address these things, and you're willing to know who's doing what. You will also be willing to cut those people off. You will also be willing to just silence it. Silence all the noise. Silence all the people's opinions. Just silence it, and you will become great. He says right here, let one of your first decisions be to keep a closed mouth and open ears and eyes. The person that talks the most is always going to do the least. The person that talks the most about their goals never usually get it done. Right here he says, keep a closed mouth and open ears and eyes. Be willing to listen, be willing to open your eyes to things, and you will be willing to become great. You'll be putting in that work because you're not just speaking about it, you're being about it. You're not just talking your way out of everything. You're not just speaking all the time because you're able to listen, you're able to see what you want to see. Instead of you're just having a closed mind by just speaking all the time. That's not going to allow you to think and grow rich. If you want to think and grow rich, you're going to need to be willing to do what he says right here. Let one of your first decisions be to keep a closed mouth and open your ears and your eyes. He says right here, tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. This is the equivalent of saying that deeds and not words are what count most. Deeds and not words are what count most. The people that talk the most get the least done. You will notice that he's telling you that right here. If you want to think and grow rich, you need to stop speaking so much. Just be about it. Don't say it, just be about it. Like, that's real, y'all. Y'all need to do this in your life if you want to be a great person. Y'all need to do this in your life if you want to become someone that is going to be something. If you want to accumulate riches, if you want to be successful, whatever you want to do, you need to be willing to stop talking so much. Listen and open your eyes. Like, that's huge. He says, freedom or death on a decision. The value of decisions depend upon the courage required to make them. The great decisions which served as the foundation of civilization were reached by assuming great risk, which often meant the possibility of death. People aren't willing to make certain decisions because they fear that. You're going to fear that. But guess what? That's why you should make that decision. I'm going to go over that in the next episode, what fear could do for your decisions and why you should get over fear. So I'm not going to get into that too much, but just know fear will lead you to make the irrational decision. If you fear it, do it. Alright, right here is going to be the last thing I go over with y'all. I hope you guys were able to take a lot away from this book. There's a lot of great knowledge. There's a lot of things you could do to grow as a person if you listen to these things and you apply them. He says right here, knowledge may be acquired from any of the foregoing sources. It may be converted into power by organizing it into definite plans and by expressing those plans in terms of action. That's huge. You have to take action. Just do it. He says right here, infinite intelligence, the source of knowledge, may be contacted through the procedure described in chapter 6 with the aid of creative imagination. This is the second thing he says, accumulated experience. The accumulated experience of humankind, or that portion of it which has been organized and recorded, may be found in any well-equipped public library. An important part of this accumulated experience is taught in schools and colleges where it has been classified and organized. That's huge. If you want to be able to grow, you have to be willing to learn from your experience, whether that be something you learned in school, whether that be something you picked up in a book. You have to be willing to learn from it. Then the third thing and the last thing he says that I'm going to go over is experiment and research. In the field of science and practically every other walk of life, people are gathering, classifying, and organizing new facts daily. This is the source to which one must turn when knowledge is not available through accumulated experience. Here too, the creative imagination must often be used. Let me repeat that. Here too, the creative imagination must often be used. Creative imagination must often be used. You need to use your imagination. You need to use what you have learned. You need to use what you see, what you hear, to let you grow rich. If you want to think and grow rich, you need to read this book. If you want to think and grow rich, you need to understand. Just stop talking so much. Be about it. I like this book, y'all. He talked about a lot. If you want to think and grow rich, you need to be willing to read this book. You need to be willing to understand. Stop talking so much. Be a person of action, not someone that talks so much. Someone that opens their eyes and their ears instead of their mouth. That will allow you to become someone that is great, someone that becomes successful. Allow yourself to be willing to learn from the experiences of your life. Allow yourself to be willing to pick up a book. Then you will be willing to gain knowledge, to use that knowledge to accumulate your riches or your plan of life. If you want to do that, I think y'all should really go read this book. I want to say thank you for everyone that watched. I do apologize for the cuts. I was sniffling a lot and I was shaking sometimes with the mic because my hands were cold, but guess what? There's no excuse. I still got it done. I still am going to drop this video, and I hope y'all will like this video. It's cold. I'm kind of slurring my words. My mouth's becoming dry because of how cold it is. I'm breathing. Y'all can see my breath, but guess what? There's no excuse. Come out here, get it done. Do what you want to do. That's what he talks about in this book. I didn't want to speak so much because this is a book that he says don't speak so much, just be about it. So I'm gonna just show y'all. I'm gonna keep dropping. I'm gonna lock back in. We gonna get this done, y'all. We gonna be up there, and I hope y'all will watch this video and y'all will learn from this video. I hope you can enjoy this video as a person watching. I hope you can let me know in the comment what's something you want me to improve on. What's a book you want me to read? What's something you got from this book? What's something you were able to gain from any of my episodes? Let me know. I'm glad y'all watched, and I'm very thankful for y'all. Like I said, this is the Real Talk Podcast where real people talk about the real, and thank y'all for watching.